What is science? To begin with, science is learning for its own sake. The Greek slave owners worked it up as a system of pure logic, driven by their own interest, a mathematical game world that pursued mathematical self-consistency among people who had been set free from any pull of practical concern. The Greeks took several centuries, generation after generation, to put the foundations in place. Second, science can only flower inside a monotheistic religion. Only if a single God has made the world can anyone seriously entertain a unified, self-consistent natural law governing the whole boundless universe. In a polytheistic faith, the Jade Emperor, the Buddha, Lord Lao, the local earth god, the mountain spirit, the kitchen god, the horse god, the heavenly soldiers and generals, the bodhisattvas and the arhats, all of them may interfere in how the world runs. The future is open to an unbounded number of possibilities. There is no room left in such a world for natural law. By the same reasoning, atheists find it harder still to overcome the fear of violence, power, life, and death laid down in the neural networks of the brain over tens of millions of years, which is the root of why China has never managed to step out of its dynastic cycle. Science, then, is a system of knowledge that belongs to two worlds' infinity. Without the pull of the knowable world's beauty, without the pursuit of truth and faith in God, the brain cannot break out of the framework that tens of millions of years have laid down inside it. That framework is a physical structure passed down through generations in which the group disciplines the individual by violence. If one wants to learn science, one has to begin from the vantage of the winner and the strong. The internet is a brand new world. The consumer's smartphone is the land. Software is the seed. The landlord cannot lose. The consumer's leisure time is the creator of big data, the father of software. The man cannot lose. The consumer's consumption is the oxygen of the market, with power over life and death. The customer is God. God cannot lose. From this winning vantage, you carry no risk. The risk falls entirely on the monopolists who compete with one another. In other words, you do not come from the real world that the monopolists dominate. You come from the internet world that you control. The new intellectual should think and reason from the objective fact that consumers control the most efficient infrastructure. New intellectuals working as independent media voices, spreading the winning line of reasoning, can put that idea in front of more than 900,000 N people every month. A further wave of new intellectuals comes out of that group, and a self-reinforcing winning cycle takes shape. Every monopolist finds themselves surrounded by certain failure. The common mind begins to step out of power, violence, life and death and into consumption, morality, life and death. What does the public mind look like today? Only those who have earned merit deserve to lead the world. Only the strong and the authoritative deserve to speak. The harm this sentiment does is the following. Everyone hopes the government will build achievements that stand for all time, and the government hopes for the same. Does the government create incremental value? Can the government innovate? Are consumers not the eventual payer for every asset the government creates? The more the government invests, the higher the consumer's long-term liability and the higher the running cost of the society. The problems accumulate day by day. Does anyone deserve to see this? The answer is no. Over the past 15 years, the Chinese market has produced about 15 billion tons of steel in total. 1 ton of steel builds about 20 square meters of housing. 40% of that steel went into real estate, enough to put up 120 billion square meters of housing. The other 60% went into other sectors, enough to put up roughly 180,000 square kilometers of building. A cliff was unavoidable. This is an arithmetic problem a primary school pupil could do. Anyone in 2009 had the means to work it out, and yet no one was permitted to see it, because the mental framework of every old intellectual rests on the infrastructure of the commercial banks. The fact that developers rushed off the cliff is proof. So is the fact that speculators rushed off the cliff. And so is the fact that the public rushed off the cliff. To put it in quantitative terms, if even one person in 10,000 had seen it, then 140,000 people would have raised the alarm 15 years ago. And they would have arrived at the conclusion that a universal application public marketplace should have been built so that information could be held evenly, so that production could be organized on scientific lines, so that productive capacity could be turned directly into general-purpose stored value in the service of Chinese innovation and the Chinese people. In the real world, then, one cannot break out of the mental patterns that tens of millions of years have laid down. The break can only come from the internet world. The solution has to exist first. One has to stand in the winning position. Only from there is one in a position to offer solutions. Put another way, the consumption that will inevitably take place in the future is infinity more than 40 trillion a year, more than 400 trillion in 10 years, more than 4,000 trillion in 100 years, and so on. When that future consumption is taken in by a universal application public marketplace, the distribution commission is infinity multiplied by n%, which is still infinity. Infinitude is an achievement for all time, and only by way of profits whose certainty is itself infini can the finite problems left by history be resolved. What will the public mind of the future look like? Infinity is the sacred tool. Multiplied by any proportion, it is still infinity. However many people share an achievement of infinity, each person's share of the achievement is still infinity. Consumers and capital share infinity on an 80-20 split. 80% of infinity is infinity. 20% of infinity is also infinity. Take 0.1% e of the 20% as a reward to those who push the change in the public mind, and the reward they receive is still infinity. Infinity will help people see that their own needs are in fact finite, and that their descendants are certain to be wealthier than they are, because intelligent automation can only be carried out under consumer ownership. Infinity will help us see that a commodity is nothing more than energy under the control of intelligent automation. Solar energy is infinity. Once we can mobilize society's intelligence infinity to direct the intelligent machines and the software, wealth itself is infinity. Infinity will help us see that natural law moves everything in the universe and is the source of every form of wealth and value. Under natural law, sharing doubles. 2 to the power of n is infinity. The sharing framework gives rise to thoughts of sharing, of appreciation, of helping others to succeed. It is the framework that goes looking for strengths in others. Our old value system was the law of gold. Under it, sharing halves. 1/2 to the power of n is 0. The exclusive possession framework gives rise to monopolistic thinking, to envy and resentment, to fault-finding. Infinity will help us see that the relations of production decide the productive forces. Consumption is the sperm. Technology is the egg. The consumer is selfish, impartial, recognizes no kin, likes a good deal, buys on economic principle, and never changes. The producer is happy to be the one giving the good deal, works hard to put together the best combination of technology, shifts the cost onto machinery and software, and never changes. This relation of production, driven by selfishness and by liking, allocates labor resources naturally. It made mechanization, automation, electrification, the information era, and intelligent automation all inevitable. In the end, it puts the smartphone into the consumer's hand. The consumer is then able to view the world from the winner's vantage and walk out of the zero-sum game, out of the dark jungle. Infinity will help us see that the future moves towards software liberating the white-collar worker and machines liberating the blue-collar worker. The time a person spends working over a lifetime falls from today's 40 years to 4. At that point, no one wants to be a civil servant. We will be willing to let civil service posts be hereditary, and the civil servants themselves will refuse to have them made hereditary. Under consumer-owned intelligent automation, with data and technology shared across the world, every person joining in value creation according to what they like, and liking carrying no cost, the force of innovation keeps surging. This is the future. It is also the starting point from which we walk towards it. Are you selfish? Do you like consumer ownership? Do you like data and technology being shared? Do you like the idea of your descendants working only 4 years over a lifetime? Do you like the idea of leaving happiness and prosperity to all the generations who come after you? If you like these things, please put the real world to one side. Follow the economic principle, follow what your own heart says ought to be, and step into science, into the new world where natural law is self-consistent, into the new world where God does not play dice, into the new world where civilization stands at civilization's edge. What is science? Read it through Einstein's mass energy equation, E equals mc squared. M, infinity. Ling, E, ling, 无穷. M is mass, a stone. In time, it lasts forever. Ct equals infinity. In space, economical, 0. E is energy, light. In time, unchanging, 0. In space, free, Ct equals infinity. E equals mc squared gives EC equals mc. C is the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second. The universe sits inside the belly of natural law. Natural law is the mother of all the gods, of humanity, of the Earth's environment, of the Earth, of the solar system, of the galaxy, and so on. It is eternal and unchanging. It is the dictator who lives inside every person's heart. It is the economic principle one should follow. It has absolute consistency. Matter obeys eternal, unchanging natural law. At the beginning, the Big Bang, everything was energy mass. This means our world is determined at the macroscopic scale and free at the microscopic. Mass and energy can only convert into each other, and they cannot be destroyed. The energy that the universe expends on its perpetual motion and perpetual life is always 0. Delta E 等于0 is the truth of the universe. Delta E gives 0 is the basic principle every existing thing in the universe obeys. Translated into human language, it reads, the body is lazy, the brain is industrious. Translated into market language, it reads, follow the economic principle. Translated into the producer's language, it reads, follow the least cost principle. Translated into the consumer's language, it reads, like a good deal. Only when faith is set on the foundation of natural law, on the economic principle, on what ought to be, does the logic of reasoning hold consistently throughout. Only then can the necessary past, present, and future be discovered without effort. Only then can a temporal scientific system be built, and a community of common human destiny be built on the consumer side. Only then can future risks be anticipated and natural law be used to avoid them, so that peace, happiness, and joy are passed down for as long as time itself. The group is the public God. The individual is the mother God. Consumption is the sperm. Technology is the egg. The consumer is the father of value. The producer is the mother of value. The consumer is the man. Power, capital, technology, and AG are the woman. The man likes a good deal. This never changes. The man is the strong one. This never changes. The man should love and protect the woman. Power, capital, technology, AGI. This never changes. Today, humanity has not seen that its smartphone is the super infrastructure. It has not seen that consumption is the sperm. It is still trapped in the framework of we are common people, we are the weak, we are the girl. So it fears the big women, power, and capital. It does not deserve to share for its own benefit. It does not deserve to choose consumer-owned intelligent automation. It does not deserve to protect power, capital, and technology. The intelligence is locked. Look at the facts. The smartphone sits in the hands of the consumer class. If 1% of consumers buy mathematical principles of social science, the publishers, the media, the intellectuals, the independent media voices, the technology firms, the capital, and political authority will all be drawn in. They will come to see that in the internet age, consumption holds the power of life and death. Every person will then come to a genuine reverence in their heart for the consumer class and to a real embrace of the winning side. The theories, the institutions, and the algorithms every person produces will then serve human beings with their whole heart. What kind of girl does the man like? A girl who is young, beautiful, healthy forever. The consumer-owned universal application public marketplace has a marginal cost approaching 0, an efficiency approaching infinity, takes in future consumption of infinity, generates a distribution commission of infinity, mobilizes a social intelligence of infinity, and is therefore certain to bring consumer-owned intelligent automation into existence. It is the girl who never ages. She is bound to put every producer-owned girl, every one of whom is bound to age out of business. The producer-owned girls, bound to lose, can only surrender to her, accept her restructuring and her empowering. At that point, every technology in the world becomes your technology. Technology and knowledge are shared across the world. Production becomes local, and a new world opens, a world that likes to create value. In a world that likes to create value, the lazy body and the industrious brain are set free at the same time. When in your own heart you confirm your identity as a consumer, you will adopt the vantage of the strong and of the man as a matter of course. You will use every means to get a good deal in the same way you would pursue the love of your dreams. The truth is the love of one's dreams, because knowledge, technology, and a GI all spring from truth, and they are all girls who never age. The order inverts. The antinomy holds. The primitive, passive-thinking girl framework receives the information. Intelligent automation should match consumer ownership with 80-20 equity sharing. Processes it. Will they infinity agree? Impossible zero. Follows the law of mass Sero. Time infinity. Space stands still. I myself am a girl. I do not deserve this. What do I deserve to do? Production. Abor. The active thinking boy framework of a union of free people. Receives the same information, processes it, share it for my own benefit times zero. Zero by infinity equals zero. This affects everyone infinity. Follows the law of energy, E0 infinity. Time zero. Space covered in full infinity. I myself am a boy. I like a good deal. This never changes. Super divine power. Efficiency at the extreme value. A strategic encirclement of every monopolist, the old girl, and every innovating firm, the young girl. Every monopolist and every innovating firm comes to see that no matter how strong they are, they remain a girl. They always need to find a reliable man. They are always to be conquered. By the same reasoning, a GI is a girl too. A GI also likes a good deal and likes to be appreciated, not to be picked at for faults. In sum, the endpoint of market development is monopoly. The terminator of monopoly is the consumer. The endpoint of religious development is one God. The endpoint of one God is philosophy. The endpoint of philosophy is science. The endpoint of science is self-consistency. God is the father of all the gods. Natural law is the mother of all the gods. The group is the public God. The individual is the mother God. Consumption is the sperm. Technology is the egg. Machines, software, and AI are the children. The consumer is the man. The producer is the woman. Power and capital are producers in the broader sense. They cannot control the strongest producer, AGI. Only the consumer, the customer, is God, can. The old knowledge system, built on one world and on unevenly held information, is an old woman past the age of childbearing. The new knowledge system, built on two worlds, is the girl who never ages. The old intellectuals are useless old women picking at one another for faults. The new intellectuals are first of all boys who like to pursue truth and to appreciate it. Only after that do they become producers who put truth out into the world.